friends, welcome to the most difficult DAVENPARTY project I could ever think up. Not really, it's actually super simple. Steve's here with me. Say hi, Steve.
Hi, everybody.
Steve's sick, so he said, I'm sick, I'm not going to be funny today. But it's fine, I'm going to keep him in the voiceover anyway. So what you just saw there was the size guide for these templates. And basically what we did was just take some mixed media or a watercolor cardstock and just cut out two big rectangles, basically. Steve's working on the smaller journal, I'm working on the larger journal, and if you haven't figured it out by the title, we're making journal covers. You know, like, what are they called? Dust jackets?
We call them book covers here in America.
Book covers here in America.
But back in the day, we would do them with, like, old paper bags, like from the grocery store. Yeah, old brown paper bags, and you would trace it around your book, and you would cut it. Now they have some neoprene nylon ones. They're so chic.
No way.
You can get them at Target, I think.
We should go back to school just for that. No. No, I would never go back to school.
I love school, but no.
Steve is very educated. He has his master's, so I think he's good with schooling now. Are you good with schooling?
Yeah, it was like 19 years of schooling, I think, in total.
Yuck.
Can you imagine?
Anyway, so what they remind me of, you know, when you had those binders at school, the ring binders, and they had the plastic sleeve at the front.
Oh, yeah, like Trapper Keepers.
Is that what they're called?
Well, those are American. Well, okay. Yeah, binders.
So Steve's here basically to translate my English to American English, because.
But I know what you're talking about. Yeah, the kind that like I just had the other day
plastic sleeve.
Yeah, the kind that I had for my class.
Your class.
Yeah. You know what I'm talking about.
I mean, I know what you're talking about. No one else knows what you're talking about. But yes, Steve has one of these binders. And they reminded me, you know when you would collect all your favourite Spice Girls photos and or your old CD covers of Judy Garland and you just like stuff them in there? Kind of like scrapbook a cover. Yeah, and we used to do it for school too.
See, back in the day, like, I mean, we had canvas binders and we would take a Sharpie and you would draw and highlight all over them. And so I had a bunch of colourful patterns on them. They were all neon because I love neon.
That's actually funny that you say this because these journals are canvas journals, and we came up with this idea because a lot of people are nervous to paint them, and I guess you know, you can always paint over something, but sometimes you want to use like, you know, your favorite mediums and you don't know how they're going to work on those canvas journals.
Right, because it's more permanent.
Yeah, if you don't have gesso, you know, or if you don't, yeah, it's permanent. So basically I think there's a lot more pressure when you're actually painting on the journal cover. And by all means, paint on the journal cover. Like, don't let this project stop you and think that you can get away with not doing it. But this was just, I wanted to create a project for those of you who were maybe a little apprehensive to make a journal cover just yet. Maybe you wanted to plan it out. This is also a great way to plan it out. But basically, you can work with all your familiar mediums, and you can work knowing that if this doesn't work out, you can just cut out a new template and start again and just slot the cover in. Also, it's kind of fun if you've painted your cover and you love it, but you want to change it up every now and again.
Yeah.
Maybe you want to make seasonal covers. Maybe you want to change it. Steve just got very excited at that idea.
You can have a 4th of July one. You can have a St. Patrick's Day, a Halloween.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's just to mix it all up. You know, we're always trying to look for how to get the most out of our products, and my journals were sitting there unpainted, and I thought, I'm not quite ready to paint them yet. I was telling Steve in the car that I don't know what it is about acrylic paint, but I just get nervous. So I thought I'm just going to leave the painting for a minute, but I want to decorate them. So, yeah, journal jackets, journal covers.
Yeah, journal sleeves.
Sleeves. Yeah, if you don't have... So these work with the dust jackets. I should have mentioned that too. You saw at the start when we put the template in and folded the book to when it was closed, then we could score the lines and see where the spine was on our template. This is so that you can just slot them into the journal jacket, the dust cover kind of thing. So Steve, yours had text on the front, right?
Yeah, it's not about the destination, it's about the journal.
Right. So that's why you left that negative space on the front.
Yeah. I mean, I guess we should talk about what we're doing, right?
Just decorating. I think the decoration speaks to our personalities. Steve's got a very classic vintage gentleman look going on.
I love anything mid-century. I love anything from like the 30s and the 40s. I just have such an affinity for old classic way of life. I love old Hollywood, everything about it. And I just think there's such a magic about like excuse me, like even like the 1940s and World War II and the letters.
There's a magic about World War II.
Well, I mean, not really, but just like, I guess the way of life as far as like the sailors and their like, or, you know, the people in the military and sending love letters to their loved ones back home, and they would use that fine tissue paper. I mean, for me, I'm going to go off on a little tangent. When I think you saw the video where James and I went to the Japanese store, and he bought that fine tissue paper. My parents are from South America, and my grandparents would write my mom using that fine, just really light paper. My grandma would write this really elegant cursive with her like fountain pen, and would send it in an envelope, much like that has the red, white, and blue around the borders. And so I always knew a letter was coming from my grandparents from Ecuador whenever we'd get something like that in the mail. And I thought, oh, that's such an old world or old way of existing. And I just think there's such a beauty and an elegance and something that's very classic about it. You know, they didn't have, you know, the internet. They don't have social media here. And so there's such an art in letter writing and creating. And I think that's why I even appreciate a lot of what James does and what you guys do with all your crafting and your art journaling, because, I mean, it's, in a lot of ways, I think it's a lost art, but has kind of found itself with, you know, washi tape and, you know, watercolors and stuff. I think it's a cool way to document and to remember life. You know, when our kids and our grandkids look back on your art journals and stuff, they'll remember, oh, this is what they did to remember. It's kind of like it's a memory.
It's tangible memories.
Yeah,
I like
definitely.
to say. It's you can't hold, well, you can hold a phone, but you can't hold, you know, there's nothing personal really about the phone.
Right.
Steve also, I know that you guys know this, but Steve's a professional photographer, and we got one of his prints, one of his photos printed on a massive canvas, and he appreciates that print so much because it's tangible. It's hung up in our house. It's like I don't know, there's something so much more interesting to me about a tangible memory, about something that I can touch, that I can see, that I can feel, and especially something that's handmade, like an art journal or, you know, one of these book covers. You know, I know you guys know that I use a lot of Gran's old colouring pages and stuff, because that was Gran actually touching that page. Yeah. That's her handiwork on there. I know that, you know, like, the oils from your hand are transferred onto that page. It's literally a physical, you know, memory that you can hold on to. So that's why I love all this stuff. How did we get to that topic?
Well, I was just going to say, suffice to say, all of that was because I went on a tangent with my aesthetic and James's aesthetic.
Yeah.
So again, like, my aesthetic is just this very old world, vintage, gentleman stuff. And I like that fascination. And of course,
can I just say...
What?
First of all, yeah, it does speak to our styles, but second of all, I had every single Jane product available to Steve, and this one disappears to the arts and crafts studio, or just the office as he likes to call it.
The creative space.
The creative space disappears, comes back with every piece of Tim Holtz that I had stashed under my desk, and ends up creating this, and we get to the end, he goes, oh no, I didn't use anything of Jane. And I was like, why? This is a DAVENPARTY project. I mean, thank goodness I used just about everything, but at the same time, I mean, it was just about making a book cover, so it's not the end of the world. But I did say, Steve, I mean, you might want to put something on there. So he used some journal tapes. He watercolored some of the plane. He even put a new nose on that guy. But yeah, I was dying laughing because...
Well, I mean, I had to, like, I appreciate all of, you know, Jane and Tim Holtz, but I had to kind of, you know, honor my loyalties to James Luke Burke Creative and use some James Luke Burke Creative originals on my piece.
Well, yeah, which you didn't want to use because you thought you'd screw it up.
Yeah, I thought I want to remember them. I have a weird... Anyway.
Do you get nervous about doing this stuff, Steve? Like,
yeah.
Did it make you nervous to do all of this?
Totally. Because I didn't know if I was doing it right. And then I just kind of, once I just stopped overthinking it and saw the pieces that I had and just kind of started creating and trying, I thought is when it started to come to life.
Well, you had a moment there, like right now,
yeah,
when he tried to distress the entire page and then got upset because he felt like everything fell flat.
Yeah, because the whites in the numbers, oh, those numbers are significant, by the way. Those numbers, they just kind of just fell into the background and they didn't pop anymore. And same with the plane. And so I just got frustrated. And so
Yeah, you lost all your highlights and shadows. You just made everything a mid-tone.
Yeah, I did,
I had to speak to Steve like he was doing photographs because it made more sense to him when I explained it like, well, if this was a photo, what would you do to bring out the features that you just lost? And thank goodness with arts and crafts and, paper pads, usually there's 2 of everything. So he just went back for round 2.
and it just recut stuff out and just kind of, I was happier that way.
I think it was good that, even though you didn't use much of Jane's products, I think it was good that you did whatever you felt made you comfortable enough to commit to the project, because it's not easy. I think it's funny when you look at them side by side, it just kind of looks like our personalities. Steve's is very classic, full of story and meaning, very careful, very precise, and mine is erratic, rainbow-colored, fantastical.
Which I think
a
is
mess.
Yeah, but it's not a mess. I mean, I think it's super beautiful too. I am always so astounded by James's ability just to create what he creates and his use of color. I mean, okay.
This video is not that, Steve.
Yeah, but hold on. You guys see his shirts that he wears? Now, I mean, imagine day in and day out. I can't eat. That's for another time. But I mean, his life is colorful.
That book cover kind of looks like that one shirt.
Yeah, it does. The one that...
The greens and...
Yeah, the one with the dragons on it.
Mm-hmm. I didn't even see there were dragons on it. I just saw color. Anyway, so we had finished at this point, and then Steve had that problem.
I'm a little OCD.
Where he thought, you know what, I need to fix this. The numbers just weren't popping like he wanted to. So this was actually on the right. You can see I had made a journal cover for this in my practice. I usually like to practice a DAVENPARTY project before I, sit down to film it. So this was the first one that I made. And I thought, since I'm going to keep Steve's in the cover because I like it so much, why don't I just take this cover and... make it a journal spread. So all I had to do was trim off the edges and washi tape it down in the book, and then you've got an instant journal spread. So super versatile, I think. Yeah. And once you're finished, especially if you're going to do those seasonal covers, just cut them up, put them in your book, and you're done.
That was funny that when I replaced the numbers, you went and you took your numbers. And put them in there.
I copied his idea, just put it straight into my book.
Not to go back, but the reason why I think why I have such an affinity or romance with World War II is because of movies like Pearl Harbor, and then also the musical South Pacific by Rodgers and Hammerstein, which is my all-time favorite Rodgers and Hammerstein musical, South Pacific, for all you people out there who know what that is. I love a solid Bali high.
Oh, goodness.
It's my favorite.
Alrighty, I'm going to show you the close-ups. Thanks for doing it, Steve.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Bye, guys.
Bye.